First of all, I feel like we need theme music for the power rankings. Just gonna say that. I want to kick it off a little bit, but yeah, we got our power rankings this week.
If we're airing out grievances, this is John's right here.
This is my grievance that we don't have theme music for the power rankings. So we got our power rankings for each one of us. So we got a cool little graphic here that shows who's in and who's out for each one. I'll start with my own. Kept it relatively the same, moved some stuff around. I moved one team in, one team out. I moved the Stars out and the Canucks in. I don't necessarily think the Stars have done anything wrong. I just think that the Canucks have played very well this season. I think there was an opportunity for them to sneak into the top 5 there. I did move the Kings down a spot. The Bruins stayed stagnant. And one of the more staggering things I did, especially considering my fanhood, I did move the Rangers down a slot compared to the Knights at the number 1 slot. Despite the fact that the Rangers went 3-1 this week, 3-1 this week, I thought it was probably one of their worst played hockey weeks of the season. They didn't look good against Buffalo. They took care of business against Detroit, but they didn't look great against Nashville or San Jose. Now, there's something to be said about managing to win even when you don't have your best stuff. But still a little concerned if it's going to lead to anything bigger. Happy we got the wins, but definitely wanted to move them down a slot. Vegas, on the other hand, Vegas went 2-2, but they did get points in all 4 games. So I thought it was time to move them up. They took care of business. They were on their Western Canada trip. They took care of business against Calgary and Edmonton, got a point against the really hot Vancouver team, and got a point against the Washington team that's played very well. So I thought it was time to flip-flop them. And that's kind of where I'm at with my power rankings this week.
What do you think, Luke? Well, yours looks pretty stagnant as far as who's composing it, but who moved up and down?
Yeah, so no one in, no one out. Same top 5. I moved the Canucks up from 4 to 5. 5 to 4. Again, I can't say enough about the roster there. Just solid from top to bottom. Stars, they had a big 8-1 win against Tampa this week, so they stayed in the top 5. I will admit I was really close to putting the Kings in the top 5 this week. Something I found out last night. They have won 9 straight road games to start the season. That is a great recipe if you want to be a playoff team. So I considered them, but I didn't want to stack 3 Pacific teams in there. So I kept the Stars in. And but I will say the Kings looked really good last night against the Avalanche, and I was considering the Avalanche as well, but they took the loss against the Kings last night. So Stars stayed in the top 5, Rangers still at the top. The Knights and the Bruins swapped. Bruins have looked a little shaky. Lost to the Rangers last week. Really close one against Toronto. And they were playing Columbus. I know it was a back-to-back, but they were playing Columbus all the way to the 3rd on a 1-1 game. They did pull away with Marchand's hat trick. So, just kind of slid them down a slot. And as John said, Golden Knights have been solid over the last week. Even though going 2-2, they did pick up points in their losses.
Rangers Kings on Saturday should have some big implications on power rankings for next week.
I think it'll have an impact.
Yeah, my top 5 did not change. I just flipped Boston and the Kings. Boston's won 3 in a row. So that was pretty much that. But the Kings do lead the league in goals scored per game and goals allowed per game. They've scored 3.86 and they've allowed 2.29. So it's a coin flip for those two for me.
Yeah.
Well, and I moved the Bruins in. That was kind of more of a case of righting a wrong. I felt like the Bruins should have been in my top 5, so I slid them in, and I moved the Golden Knights down to 5th, dropping the Avalanche out. But the Golden Knights are kind of in a precarious spot to me. They've dropped a couple of games here recently. Then Aiden Hill looks like he might be out for a little bit. He's definitely out for the next 3 games. He's been playing pretty well in goal for them. So if he's out for an extended period of time, that could definitely swing things for their the rest, for the immediate future for their season. So hopefully he comes back after this 3-game absence and is able to resume, pick up where he left off. But we'll kind of see how that goes and how that affects them the rest of the year. But hopefully it's not something that's going to be nagging the rest of the season or anything like that.
Yeah.
Big fan of Aiden Hill.
Yeah.
I've got him on my fantasy team, so I definitely am rooting for him to come back.
Big surprise of this year for the Knights. I mean, I expect him to have a good year, especially after the way last season ended, but I don't think I expected him to be the league leader in save percentage and goals against average at this point. I mean, he's been the biggest pleasant surprise for the Vegas Golden Knights this year.
Yeah. And some fantasy owners had the option of Logan Thompson or Aiden Hill, and they went with Logan Thompson.
I don't know who would do a thing like that.